Hoi small fry and welcome to Itch.io Tasty, the game where we put a random keyword into itch.io and see what games come up. We pick up some interesting games and then I review them, and that's basically the premise, so let's get cracking. This week I started by typing in the word naughty, only came up with 2 games. Naughty Granny, which was not very good at all, and some VR game that didn't really work because it was a VR game. So instead I decided to go big with it and just type runner. I mean, you can't get more ubiquitous than runner, and it threw up a lot of games. So I picked the ones that interested me the most, and let's just get cracking with the reviews, shall we? First game on the menu is Gold Runner. Now, as I'm sure you can tell from the visuals here, this is a special one. It bears some mechanical similarities with a game I love called One Epic Night, which you can get on Android, iOS, whatever, which is Temple Run but better. I don't like Temple Run, but I really like One Epic Night, and this is very similar, except where One Epic Night is really, really good, this is, well, to put it diplomatically, not. It's something of a mess. You're supposed to avoid walls and dynamite while picking up gold. Everything's very randomized, to the point of sometimes spawning dynamite directly in front of you the moment you start the game. The controls are not laggy, but very sluggish. It's hard to move the guy left to right. There is a way to quick turn when you come up to a corner, signified by the arrows, but the timing for it, there's no indication for it, and it seems very precise, and sometimes rather than turning, he will just steer as if he's going left to right like normal, and just run into a wall. That's a big issue with this game, is just, it's impossible to predict what's coming. It's so haphazard, and there are so many ups and downs in the tunnel that you're in. It's kind of a constricted tunnel. So sometimes you can't see what's over the next hill, sometimes you can't see when a corner's coming. It's a big mess, and only really notable for the fact that you are playing a weird nude man whose arse crack seems to have been melted shut, which I don't know whether or not that's a convenience for him. It wouldn't be a convenience for me. So that's Gold Runner. I give that 2 molted over arse cracks out of 10. Next up, Fear Half Factor. Now, I don't know what's going on with this one at all. The premise is something. The story for it opened up in a second pop-up window. And to be honest, I didn't read it. But the game itself appears to put you in the role of some sort of monster, one of several monsters, and you're going left to right trying to catch people who are running away from you. In order to do that, you have to you have to pick up little weird white glowing old man babies, things, and they speed you up, and then you touch someone and they turn into a monster, and you go left to right. There's not a lot to it. I mean, it's an interesting idea, being a runner game where you're going after people, where you're the monster chasing. I like that idea, but, well, it's you can just see it. I try not to be too nasty with these games. They're not trying to be sold on Steam or anything. They're on Itch.io, which is a good place for first-time developers and the distribution of free stuff. So I'm not going to use harsh language or anything to describe it, but I will, to be constructive, say that this game could do with the hiring of an artist, the use of more than just MS Paint doodles, and maybe a little bit more meat, a little bit more oomph to the gameplay. So this one gets, shall we say, 3 monsters out of weird, wrinkly old baby man. Summer Runner is a fairly interesting one. It's less of a runner. I don't know why they even called it a runner, maybe to show up in search engines for runner. But you're actually abseiling down the side of a building. You're a girl in a bikini who's been called down to some summer party that's presumably happening miles and miles below you. I don't know how she heard the call, but she is abseiling down for some reason, in nothing but a bikini, along concrete, which I would imagine would just scour her feet down to the bone. But let's not question that. What we have here is a fairly simple little arcade game about avoiding things. You know, it's not exactly on the level of, say, the Battletoads abseiling stuff, but it's very simple. It does what I was going to say it does what it says on the tin, but it doesn't even do that because you're not running. So it's misleading. It doesn't do what it says on the tin, but it isn't offensively bad or anything. It's just kind of there. Wouldn't exactly recommend it if you're looking for a runner game or indeed an abseiling game. There are better things out there for your time. Not horrible, but simply there. Yeah, that one gets, let's say, 3 G strings out of 50. The scores are meaningless, by the way. Now here's a game with potential. This is Molly Run. Now this is an endless runner with Peter Molyneux and a German sausage. Now, I love taking the piss out of Peter Molyneux. As much as the next person. I'm a big fan of parodying good old Peter Molyneux, the lying liar who lies all the time. Now, this game has a real kernel of promise to it. You play as Peter Molyneux, holding a German sausage, as well as pressing space to jump, like in Cannabolt or any other side-scrolling runner. You've also got to press A and D to keep the sausage balanced. If it swings too far in either direction, you lose a life. So it's this constant balancing act of trying to jump while also trying to keep this sausage above Peter's head. Intermittently, the game stops for a little button mashing segment where Molyneux has a conversation with the sausage. From a gameplay perspective, it's simple, it works, it's fun, and it's surprisingly stressful to keep the sausage up. So it's got all the basics, but it is very basic. There's no real sound effects or anything. Visually, it is interesting. It's like he's trapped in the Curiosity Cube, and you're picking up little green blocks, and in the background you see various numbers and various references to promises and video games and things. So it's very interesting. It's well drawn. The art of Molyneux is fun. Every time you lose the game, he wakes up and has an idea for a game, presumably. He might wake up and say Dungeon Keeper. It could do with some more than just the music, though. Could do with some oomph to it. But this is a game that I really like the idea of. And while it may only be good for a few minutes of a joke, it is free and playable in a browser. So I like it. It gets 5 cubes out of Curiosity. Have to say, Skeleton Runner did not impress me. Disappointed me, in fact. There are no skeletons in it. It gets points for you being a headless, naked dude, but we already had our arse quota filled by Gold Runner. So if they're going to hope to fill any arses, they came too late to the party, shall we say. Now, the game is literally just this. It's pressing space over those black holes. There's no audio feedback, no visual feedback. The only indication you get from losing a life is one of your hearts disappearing in the corner, and the angle is such, and the lack of depth is such, that you could just hit a hole and not know it. It's not very good. It really isn't very good. It looks really nice, that's the thing. I really like it's got nice animations for that man. The man's arse is shapely. There's got some good shoulder blades there and a spine line, which is nice. This is what I look for in a naked nude dude. And the way the level scrolls is interesting, but there's just no game there. There's just no meat on the bones. So sorry, I hate a game called Skeleton Runner is something I hate to dismiss, but I do dismiss it, so it gets dismissal out of 10. Boss Up, Game Jam game. Didn't get it at all. Had a skeleton in it, which caught my eye, so it does get skeleton out of skeleton, but otherwise, fuck knows. Now, Four Ways Forward is probably the standout of this particular collection. It's essentially a guessing game at first. At first, it's a guessing game as you try and work out how everything works together. But basically, you control 4 different animals. You press space and you hold space to make them walk forward. And as a character moves forward, the mood bar on the top decreases. You can stop at any time. If you release, that character stops. And then if you press space again, you instantly move on to the next animal. Now, to keep the mood raised, you have to work out which items strewn across the level raise the mood of the character. For example, if you're the swan and you stop by the nightclub sign, they will be happy because they like nightclubs. They like electro music, I guess. One of the early ones you work at is if you stop the big bear by the gun, he has a bad memory about it. And only one of the characters really knows how to deal with that, and that, again, that's the swan. You stop the swan by the gun, the swan, which I'm assuming is a she. Actually, I shouldn't assume, I will just go they. The swan will say that they better hide this, and they do, and then you're fine. But you do, as you play, and you need to replay, and it's very trial and error, which I have an issue with. But you do sort of learn things about the traits of the characters, like the little bear fella. I'm not sure exactly what he is, but I guess he's a little bear. You soon get an idea that he's into more physical activities and things, so when you see the nunchucks, it's like, well, we'll stop him there, and that raises his mood. Some of them I haven't got a handle on. The fox in the jacket, I don't know what his deal is. But I know his mood raises when you go near the airplane tickets, but I didn't even know they were airplane tickets until I stumbled on them with someone else. So it's beautiful, visually beautiful. The concept has a lot of meat to it, but right now it could do with some actual, more of a clue as to what's going on, more feedback for the player, less of a guessing game. It's sort of, right now it's more the developer saying, guess what I'm thinking. But I would love to see this idea expanded. So 4 Ways Forward gets 4 ways out of forward. Mudrunner, I mean, speaks for its look. You can look at it and you can already tell what I think of this one. Gets bonus points for the character getting stuck on the scenery quite a bit. The jumping just being not very good in particular, and of course the MS Paint level graphics. Not brilliant, but you are running away from a giant ball of mud, so I guess it gets something for that. Mud out of mud, I don't really care much about it. Yeah, there you go. The final game we're looking at, out of many, like I said, there are many Jump Runner games, but, you know, I can't cover them all, otherwise this video would be 5 hours long. But the last one I checked out, the last one that caught my eye was Enter the Vaporwave. Now, I saw the logo for this, the thumbnail for this, and it had some weird character model with Sailor Moon stuff, a Game Boy logo, a McDonald's logo, and it was all hodgepodge together, so I thought, is this memes? And got excited because I thought this was memes. But if your question is this memes? Vaporwave, Enter the Vaporwave, rather. Did I say Enter the Vaporwave? It's Vaporwave. I only just worked that out. Enter the Vaporwave says no to that question. This is not memes. It is, in fact, a fairly simple-looking little again, endless surfer, really. You're surfing on the Windows logo for some reason. Visually, it's interesting, but gameplay-wise, it's quite slow, and just not particularly responsive or gripping in any way. So, can't really recommend it. It is a Game Jam thing. It was made for the Vaporwave Jam, so obviously you know what you're getting with those things. It's one of those things that if they go back and build on it, there's probably something to it. It does look nice. It's got a nice colour scheme. You know, it's what I call the 80s Decepticon colour scheme. And I would be if it were turned into a full-fledged thing, I'd probably be interested in checking it out. You know, maybe on a mobile device or something. But otherwise, it gets This Is Not Memes out of Is This Memes. And that's it for Itchy O Tasty. Hope you enjoyed it. Last week, it wasn't last week, it was a lot longer ago than that. Last episode, I basically did, it was just a Let's Play, another version of a Let's Play type thing, where I played in real time and gave my reactions. This time I decided to pre-record all the footage and then go back and do sort of mini reviews. Do let me know what you prefer. I think the mini review one is, I mean, not only is it easier for me, but it's a bit more laid back, and it's a bit more different from the other content from Squirty Play and Early Access Squirt and all that. And I am looking to try and diversify what I do here. So I like this format. If you did prefer the other format, do say so. But I think this might be the shape that this series takes. And you know, people really liked the first episode. They did seem to think that there was potential for a series. So if all goes well, we'll do another one in the near future. Until then, keep itching, my friends. Keep scratching, keep tasting.